Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight for 23 ABC News at 11. I'm Jessica Harrington. Tonight's top stories. The family of a woman and her newborn baby killed during a domestic dispute speaking out, sharing their plans for a celebration of life for the young mother and her child, how they're coping and working through their grief.
And a little later in sports, we're going to be talking to the next Bakersfield quarterback to hear his name called in the NFL draft.
And a new local homeless shelter is almost ready to serve the community. An update on the county's Homeless Navigation Center as staff prepares to move in next week. Allison?
And our next storm is slowly moving out of the region. I'll let you know what that means for your weekend temperatures when 23 ABC News at 11 starts right now.
Live from downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News at 11 starts now.
Good evening. The family of the young mother who lost her life on Easter Sunday after a domestic fight is asking the community to join them in celebrating her life and that of her newborn son. 23 ABC's Leslie Gooden spoke with the Rivera family this evening on how they're coping with the loss of two family members in just under a week.
Good evening. The death of Audrey Rivera is a tragedy that her family says they never saw coming. And they were hoping that her newborn son, Josiah Rivera, would have survived. Unfortunately, he passed this Wednesday in his family's arms. The family of 34-year-old Audrianna Rivera, who was killed in a domestic violence dispute, tells us they're still struggling with the situation.
Those quiet moments where we're not having to handle anything, that's where it really hits you really hard. My aunt's still having a very hard time. The kids are adjusting.
Rivera was pregnant at the time, and police say she was killed by her on-again, off-again boyfriend, 36-year-old Javier Vidal. Kern County Sheriff's Office say Vidal left the scene of the crime and weed patch with their 2-year-old Elias Vidal, who he shares with Audrey, after shooting the young mother. The 2-year-old was found safe that same evening, but shortly after, the suspect was pronounced dead. According to officials, it was the result of a shootout. KCSO states it was Vidal who fired first. Since then, 2-year-old Elias has been reunited with his family, but his little brother, Josiah, did not make it.
And Josiah has had to be taken off life support, so he is in heaven with his mom. We feel like maybe she needed him more.
The family tells 23 ABC there will be a public celebration of life for both Josiah and Audrey, which is scheduled for April 24th at the Basham Funeral Home from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. For the viewing, the funeral home will be practicing social distancing by allowing 10 people in at a time and requiring the wearing of masks.
Josiah will be buried with his mom. He will be placed in the casket with her. He will be swaddled and she will be cuddling him and they will be together.
The family wants to celebrate mom and son by asking the community to join in on the 24th by doing one of Audrey's favorite activities.
She loved to take a drive, listen to her music, that was her thing. And so as a family, we're asking that anybody that would like to join meet at Hillcrest in the Rose Garden parking lot around 12:30 next Saturday. And we will take a drive from Hillcrest through Hart Park a few times.
Enriquez shares that this act of violence could have been avoided.
Domestic violence does happen. I think that if you hear something, see something, we should say something.
And the family wants to remind the community that the memorial and the viewing is public, which is happening next weekend, but the burial is private. For now, in Bakersfield, Leslie Gooden, 23 ABC News, connecting you.
Well, the search is over tonight for a man police say was behind 3 separate stabbings in central Bakersfield over the course of the last month. 23 ABC's Tori Cooper first reported on the investigation and has more on the arrest tonight.
The lady, her name was Mona, she came across the street and bought some weed from me, and then she came walking, and the black guy that was behind me followed her down here, and next thing you know, she got stabbed.
Over the course of the last month, police say 3 homeless women were brutally stabbed in 3 separate attacks in central Bakersfield by 23-year-old Anthony Lewis Jr.
They worked very hard as far as trying to put this case together and backtracking video and witnesses from everywhere they could throughout the city.
But an overnight police stakeout of the suspect's target area along 19th and R Streets, coupled with surveillance video from previous attacks that occurred on 19th Street, at Mill Creek Park, on 21st Street, and on Kentucky Street, led police right to to the suspect Thursday night.
They were able to see a suspect that matched the description pretty precisely and were able to detain him.
Detectives say Lewis, who is a Kern County resident, was wearing the same black hoodie, gloves, and mask as the suspect seen in this surveillance video obtained by 23 ABC News from the stabbing that took place on April 14th on the corner of 19th and O. When police arrested him, they say he had a knife in hand and was ready to strike again.
Definitely had to move in very quickly because the subject appeared to be following another female subject downtown.
Shortly after Lewis was arrested, he agreed to speak with 23 ABC News about the stabbings. But officials say the Kern County Jail is closed for media interviews due to COVID-19. Police say all three women who were stabbed are expected to survive, and officials are unaware if the women have been released from the hospital. I'm Tori Cooper for 23 ABC News, connecting you.
Lewis was booked for attempted murder and is being held on more than $1 million bail. Police say he has no criminal history here in Kern County, but may have a history elsewhere. We want to turn now to an update on the county's $3 million low barrier homeless navigation center. The mini city to help mitigate the homeless crisis in Kern County is under construction on M Street at 29th and is getting closer to being finished. The county's chief administration officer, Ryan Alsop, posting a photo on Twitter today saying, quote, final touches, staff moving in next week. Hashtag Kern County Navigation Center. We will move people off the street and into a better life. Hashtag homelessness. The facility will feature two tent-like structures. The larger of the two will provide sleeping quarters for 150 people and potentially more if stacked bunks are later deemed necessary. The smaller of the two buildings will serve as an administrative office and intake center. It sits on 6 acres near the Fire Marshal's building and County Veterans Services, with only about half of the acreage being used for now. All right, let's turn now and bring in 23 ABC's meteorologist Allison Gargaro. We saw some rain today, nothing crazy, but a little bit, which was kind of nice, but then a beautiful sunset. We're looking forward to a great weekend, Allison.
Oh yeah, it's going to be such a nice weekend, Jess. Thankfully, the storm system is going to be clearing by tomorrow. Now, this storm was not too impressive. It looks like most of the action is actually staying north of the Kern County line. So yes, we did see some of those light showers a bit earlier today, but right now you can see there are some heavy rain, the potential for some thunderstorms right around the Fresno area. At this hour, they actually are tracking an aerial flood advisory. So something we're keeping a close eye out for. But you can see some light showers moving through Bakersfield at this hour. I mean, we've only seen 0.04 of an inch of rain in areas in the valley, maybe a tenth or two, a bit more up in Kernville. It looks like they have been hit the hardest. Now, as for rain this month, we've seen more than 2.5 inches. That means our departure from normal is above average. So right now we are seeing Kern County that is actually out of the drought. It looks like in California, places north of Kern County are still in that marginal level, but we are clear of that, all thanks to the rain that we were seeing today as well as last week. But let me tell you, more rain is on the way to start next week. I have more details on that storm system coming up in just a few.
All right, Allison, thanks for moving into the Live Center now to turn to the latest on the coronavirus pandemic. Kern County Public Health reporting new case numbers today that show that the pace of new positive cases is starting to decline and negative test results continue to rise. Now, according to Public Health's website, there's a total of 587 people who have tested positive for COVID-19. 578 of those are residents and 9 are non-residents. The death toll remains at 3. However, 212 patients have recovered from the virus and 4,356 tests have come back negative. Officials also reporting that more than 3,400 tests are still pending. Here's how the numbers are broken down by regions in Kern County. 292 cases are in Bakersfield East. We have 186 cases in Bakersfield West, 69 in the Valley region, 16 in the Desert region, and 15 in the Mountain area. Now, for the latest updates on the coronavirus here in Kern County, you can always head to our website, turnto23.com, and see all of the breakdowns there right for you. And of course, as concerns grow over the virus, more and more stores are implementing stricter guidelines for customers to help protect against spreading COVID-19. These were the signs that were posted at a local Smart & Final store saying no one would be allowed in to shop without wearing a face mask. Now, Smart & Final joining the local Vons and Albertson stores in starting that requirement. requirement. A spokesperson with Smart and Final confirmed this is a new company-wide policy at their stores. All of this comes after Walmart announced earlier today it would be requiring all of its employees to wear masks when they start work on Monday. So we wanted to know, are you concerned? Do you think you should have to wear a mask in order to enter a store? So we have a poll on our 23 ABC Facebook page that we've been asking you tonight about. We have this question up. We've already got nearly 600 votes. And so we asked, are you concerned? Now, I personally have been wearing a mask out. I'll actually show it to you. I brought it with me. It's just a bandana with 2 hairbands on the side that I can put around my ears. I made it at home very quickly with things I already have. So I'm going to select yes and see what our totals are showing us. 76% of you are saying that you are going out with a mask. 24% saying no. So definitely head to our website and take that poll if you haven't yet. Meanwhile, Sheriff Donnie Youngblood posting an update on COVID-19 cases within his department on social media. The sheriff says the outbreak has now impacted 20 employees, but a couple employees have recovered.
We have had 2 employees now who have come back to work after getting the coronavirus. We believe we're going to have several more next week that will be coming back to work after going through the episode with the virus.
Sheriff Youngblood said 18 of the 20 who have tested positive are isolating at home and recuperating. He says none of them have had to be treated at a hospital. He added there are 9 inmates who have tested positive. Youngblood also praised Kern County for self-distancing and self-quarantining themselves. He said we will start to see better results in the weeks to come. Assemblymember Rudy Salas delivered water and food donations to families in Lost Hills who are in need of essential supplies. According to a news release, 200 families attended today's event. 5,200 bottles of water were distributed, along with hundreds of bags of essential food supplies. Salas teamed up with Community Action Partnership of Kern, Kern County Department of Human Services, and the Lost Hills Union School District to put on the drive-through donation. Organizers say hundreds of families took advantage of the opportunity, and Salas saying in a statement, quote, "Our community is stronger when we come together, especially during COVID-19. I'm pleased we were able to partner with Kern County and the Lost Hills School District to provide essential food and water for residents in need." Meanwhile, President Donald Trump announced a $19 billion relief program for farmers through the United States Department of Agriculture in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The president explained during a press briefing today the USDA Coronavirus Food Assistance Program that it would include direct payments to farmers as well as mass purchases of dairy, meat, and agricultural produce to get food to people in need. The program will provide $16 billion in direct payments to farmers, ranchers, and producers who experienced unprecedented losses during the pandemic, according to the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue. Now, another $3 billion will be dedicated for the purchase of fresh produce, dairy, and meat products to be distributed to Americans in need through food bank networks and other community and faith-based organizations. Local Congressman T.J. Cox responding to the announcement, saying in part, quote, "We've fought hard to get our farmers and ranchers and those who depend on a strong agriculture economy what they need to weather this crisis." He goes on to say, "I will continue to fight hard to ensure our farmers and ranchers are able to do what they do best, and that is to continue to feed the world."